When one of Hollywood's biggest action stars starts questioning whether audiences will still believe in him, Chris Hemsworth, the man who wielded Thor's hammer and saved the universe countless times on screen, recently sat down for an interview that revealed vulnerabilities most celebrities would never dare expose. The conversation raised questions that went far beyond typical promotional material for his new film, Crime 101. It opened a window into a deeply personal struggle that forced him to confront mortality and the very nature of what it means to be human in an industry built on invincibility. The 42-year-old Australian actor made a startling admission during his press tour. He wondered aloud whether revealing his genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's disease had been a mistake, not because the information was false, but because he feared it might shatter the illusion that makes him a movie star. Would audiences stop believing in the action hero once they knew about his fears and insecurities? Would studios hesitate to cast someone who carries 2 copies of the APOE4 gene, making him 8 to 10 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's than the average person? These were not hypothetical concerns for Hemsworth. They represented a genuine crisis of confidence for someone who had spent years building an image of superhuman strength. The revelation came during promotional interviews for Crime 101, a gritty heist thriller that marks a departure from his typical larger-than-life roles. In the film, Hemsworth plays an elusive jewel thief attempting one final score while being pursued by a relentless detective. The role required him to shed the godlike persona of Thor and embrace vulnerability in ways he had never done before. He changed his posture, lowered his voice to a different register, and researched extensively with actual jewel thieves, some still in prison. The director noted that Hemsworth took the preparation seriously, in ways that surprised everyone involved. But the real transformation happening off-screen proved even more dramatic than anything captured by cameras. Hemsworth first learned about his genetic predisposition in 2022, while filming his documentary series, Limitless. A doctor informed him during the show that he possessed 2 copies of a gene strongly linked to Alzheimer's risk. The news landed like a hammer blow, though not a complete surprise given his family history. His maternal grandfather had suffered from the disease, and the genetic testing confirmed what Hemsworth might have suspected. What he did not anticipate was how the public would react to his openness. Media outlets transformed his measured statements about genetic risk into sensational headlines, suggesting his dementia diagnosis was inevitable. Despite repeatedly emphasizing that the gene represented increased risk rather than certainty, the narrative spiraled beyond his control. Hemsworth found himself frustrated and angry at how his vulnerability had been weaponized for clicks and views. He told reporters that sharing something so personal, only to have it distorted, felt like a violation. The experience taught him a harsh lesson about the cost of honesty in the public eye. Then came the diagnosis that made everything more immediate and real. In 2025, Hemsworth revealed through his documentary A Road Trip to Remember that his father Craig had been diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's disease. The 71-year-old man who had raised 3 boys and worked as a child protective officer, facing the very disease his son feared. Craig's symptoms manifested sporadically with memory lapses and occasional confusion, but he remained largely lucid. The diagnosis transformed the abstract possibility of someday into the concrete reality of now. The documentary followed Chris and Craig on a motorcycle journey across Australia, revisiting meaningful places from their past. The trip served multiple purposes. It was a chance for one-on-one time that the busy actor rarely got with his father. It was an experiment in reminiscence therapy, guided by neuroscience research suggesting that revisiting past experiences through social connection might help slow cognitive decline. It was an act of love and defiance against a disease that steals memories and identities. During the journey, father and son confronted uncomfortable truths. Craig, typically a silent type who avoided discussing emotions, finally opened up around a campfire. He described days when things were clear and days when nothing made sense. His greatest fear was not death, but dependence, the loss of ability to care for himself and make his own decisions. For a man who had spent his life as the protector and fixer, the prospect of relying on others represented a fundamental loss of identity. Chris listened and documented, knowing these moments of lucidity would not last forever. The experience fundamentally altered Hemsworth's relationship with his career and ambition. He told interviewers that his appetite for racing forward had been reined in completely. The fragility of life became impossible to ignore. His father would not be around forever. His children, now 11 and 13, were growing up fast. The nights when they fought to sleep in their parents' bed had stopped happening. Time moved relentlessly forward, and Hemsworth found himself wanting to slow down rather than accelerate. This shift manifested in concrete ways. He began choosing roles based on personal meaning rather than financial incentives. In the past, coming from nothing made it difficult to turn down significant paychecks. He justified creative compromises by telling himself the money would help his parents or cousins. Now, with his father's diagnosis as a constant reminder of mortality, those calculations changed. Crime 101 represented exactly the kind of project he wanted to pursue, a character-driven thriller that demanded vulnerability rather than invincibility. The broader questions Hemsworth raised in his interviews cut to the heart of how society views illness and mortality. He wondered whether audiences could separate the man from the myth, whether they could accept that their action heroes experience fear and face genetic predispositions to devastating diseases. His concerns reflected a legitimate uncertainty about Hollywood's tolerance for human frailty. The industry has long preferred stars who maintain the illusion of perfection, who never age or weaken or confront the limitations all humans face. Yet Hemsworth's willingness to discuss these issues publicly also represents a radical form of courage. He chose transparency over image management, knowing it might cost him professionally. He created documentaries that showed his father's confusion and his own anxiety, rather than hiding behind carefully crafted publicity. In doing so, he challenged the assumption that vulnerability equals weakness, that admitting fear diminishes strength. The science behind his genetic risk adds nuance to the narrative. Having 2 copies of the APOE4 gene does increase Alzheimer's risk significantly, but it does not guarantee diagnosis. Other factors, including age, lifestyle, and pure chance, all play roles in whether someone develops the disease. People without the gene can develop Alzheimer's, while those with it may never experience symptoms. Hemsworth has emphasized this repeatedly, trying to maintain perspective while also taking the risk seriously. His approach includes lifestyle modifications aimed at reducing risk. He has spoken about managing stress more effectively, seeking out stillness and mindfulness, and prioritizing family time over career advancement. These changes reflect current research suggesting that social connection, mental stimulation, and healthy behaviors might help protect brain health even in genetically predisposed individuals. People who know Hemsworth describe him as surprisingly sensitive beneath the action star exterior. The documentary revealed someone willing to ask his father difficult questions, to sit with uncomfortable emotions, and to acknowledge that pretending problems do not exist only leads to suffering and silence. He noted that when someone faces Alzheimer's, people often avoid the topic entirely, talking about sports and weather instead of asking how the person really feels or whether they are scared. This observation points to a broader cultural discomfort with decline and mortality. Society prefers to look away from aging and illness, treating them as aberrations rather than inevitable parts of the human experience. Hemsworth's decision to look directly at these realities, to document them and discuss them publicly, represents a kind of rebellion against that cultural norm. The recent interview that sparked so much attention ultimately revealed a man at a crossroads. He stands between the persona he has built and the reality he faces, between the invulnerable hero audiences expect and the vulnerable human he actually is. His questions about whether people will still believe in him as an action star matter less than the deeper question of whether he can believe in himself while acknowledging his fears. The answer appears to be yes. By choosing roles that allow for complexity and creating work that explores his actual concerns, Hemsworth is forging a new kind of Hollywood masculinity, one that makes room for both strength and vulnerability, certainty and doubt, power and fragility.